Welcome to Classroom to Boardroom, where students share their big ideas. We are here to explore how they see learning, the world, and the changes they dream of making. Because even the youngest voices can inspire big change. Think big, think bold, think now.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Classroom to Boardroom, which is a podcast by Think Now Classroom. I'm your host, Priya Kedia, and today we have with us our first guest for our Classroom to Boardroom series with the students. So this podcast is all about helping students like our first guest here to think critically about the world around you. Think critically about the way you learn and the things that matter to you most. Think about how you take up your education and whatever your opinions are about the world and things that you experience. To kind of start with what Think Now Classroom is. So in Think Now Classroom, what we do is we take the subjects that you learn in school, and then we take the activities that you do after school, such as playing sports or watching movies. We combine both of them, and then we prepare some learning modules which basically connect your school learning with real life education, with real life experiences, to give you a kind of experience that makes you learn better. So the research studies have shown that minds which have connections between the things that you learn in school and the things that you do after school is actually that actually leads to increase in your learning ability and make you smarter. So this is what Think Now Classroom is all about. And here, we are going to take a step outside of your textbooks and classrooms to focus on what you think, like what the student thinks, what you learn, and how your opinions shape education. So, welcome to our first episode, Aditi. And
Thank you.
we are so happy to have you. And we are going to dive into your thoughts and ideas and explore today how you think critically about these things. So let's kick off things by getting to know something about you. So can you tell us your name, what grade you are in, and which city do you live in, and what one thing that you love about learning, whether it could be a subject or an activity or anything. Yeah, so over to you, Aditi.
Thank you. So basically, myself, Aditi Molkar. I'm from 10th grade studying in Rotary School of Junior College, Ambanat City. And what I basically love about studying is that you explore the world, you get to know about new subjects and new things. And so basically, subjects like Marathi, languages, and social science can be of no use, but particularly subjects like history and physics, where you get to know how things actually work. And in reality, you can make your career opportunities in those things, like in mathematics trigonometry is used in some aeroplanes and all kind of stuff. So it gets quite interesting to know that whatever I am learning, I can use it in my career and giving my best to it, getting a good grade, all these kind of ambitions which every student holds on. Even I hold them and go according to it.
Awesome. Yeah, that's a very interesting perspective, Aditi. Like you mentioned that, you already are there where, we are trying to take kids where, you can, like you mentioned, like you learn trigonometry and then you kind of understand that, okay, it's going to be of some use in some career at later point of time. So it just makes your learning more interesting. So yeah, that's great to hear. Okay, so now here's when where the fun starts. I have got some questions for you, and I want to hear your honest opinions. Let's start. And so just remember, there's no right or wrong answers because it's your opinions. It can be anything that you think about them. So just answer using the first thing that comes to your mind. Okay, so you're ready?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Okay. So, if you could, change one thing about school, what would it be?
Okay. Changing about the school in the school system, particularly what I think is students feel very bored to go to the school and study the same subjects over the day, daily, the same subjects, science, mathematics. So what basically schools can do is, change their timetable, change their schedules, when they can, design a new pattern, and they can conduct classes like science carnivals, chemical experiments, or simply keep classes for conversing with students, getting their opinions about subjects, that whether is this student interested in it, how can I make him more interesting in it. There are particular things, and many students get oppressed. There are students who are not able to converse or communicate with students or teachers. So students, teachers can keep some classes in which they'll teach how to talk, how to communicate to the world, or get new ideas, painting
Hmm.
classes, all these kind of stuff. It will be kind of cool, and we'll not be bored to go to school daily. There will be something interesting ki ha aaj jana hai, so there's something new. So it will be quite interesting.
Yeah, that's a very interesting perspective, Aditi. I mean, it is with everybody. I mean, when we feel motivated, when we feel interested or excited about something, we do it with much more vigor and strength. We are self-driven to do that. So, your point is extremely, well placed. That if we are ready to study what this curriculum is, but if it was offered in a more interesting way, if there were changes, if there was a room for the students opinion in everything, that would have made things much interesting. So yeah, I love your perspective there. And I'm pretty sure you guys might have talked about this with your friends, that we miss this particular thing at school. So yeah, we in this podcast series we'll be talking to a lot of different students and try to see how perspectives change when we talk to students from different cities, different backgrounds, and things like that. Okay, so coming to our next question, do you think that technology in school, it helps students learn better, or is it more distracting? Because like after COVID, or I think even before COVID, a lot of schools used to have smart classes, and in COVID, anyways, everybody had online classes, and I'm pretty sure like after the COVID thing, also a lot of schools are following the hybrid approach of incorporating some amount of online learning also in the schools, and using technology like tabs and stuff in school. So in your experience, do you think it helps you learn better, or it's more distracting?
Okay, so particularly if you talk about it, it depends. It depends on each and every student. If you talk about me, I particularly enjoy, getting to technology, and I always have another backup. Yeah, I have Google Gemini, I have all the YouTube videos where I can go back and I can
Hmm.
solve my queries with it. But for some students, it gets distracting if they are not able to control themselves, if they're not able to, they just keep scrolling over the reels and all. So it gets distracting for them. But basically, technology really helps, because for me, many a times when we read, जब हम सिर्फ textual पढ़ते हैं ना, so what happens is we get bored. वही same
Hmm.
words पढ़ के, you don't get visuals about it. But subjects like science and bio, they need visuals. So when you go to YouTube videos and you get those visuals, you particularly understand it better. कि हाँ, this is where the placement is, this is where the cell goes. You
Hmm.
understand it deeply. You go to the depth of the subject. So I guess for me, it actually helps a lot. It's pretty good.
Okay. No, I completely agree. Actually, there are two main things. The one thing that you mentioned, the convenience, that, okay, if maybe you miss something for some reason, maybe you miss school someday, you missed a topic, you always have a backup to kind of do it at your own pace. And then second, like you mentioned, that some topics, some subjects, like need visuals, they need 3D aspect to learning. So yeah, in that case, it's definitely better. And like you mentioned, that it should be it should be a balanced approach, that you should be able to kind of put a check on your time, and how you do it basically. Yeah, awesome. So another question coming your way. So you know like you mentioned in one of in your first question, that probably in school it would have been better if there were some classes where you got to discuss with people, where you got to kind of talk to people. So this question is related to that. So discussing things that you learn at school, when you come back, so first thing would be, do you discuss things that you learn in school with your family members? And how do you think basically this discussion during your dinner talk, and whenever you are home, helps you in your learning? And is there any specific thing or a topic that you love explaining to your family when you come back?
Okay, so basically, what happens in nowadays, students are, very conservative about things. Like they don't like to share about their school life to their parents. So what happens is there's a distance which comes because students are also quite busy with their own schedules and all, and even parents are busy. So their lives don't get, mixed up. They don't get the gist of anything. So what basically happens when you share things of your school that, today happened, this happened, I met to my friend, then I learned this topic and all kind of stuff. So even they feel involved in our school life. They feel like we know what our bacha is doing. This is happening today, that happened today, this is a favorite class teacher. And particularly what actually like is whenever I learn something new, so my favorite subjects are history and science. So when I find something interesting, I tell my mom and my dad कि particularly आज मैंने यही सीखा and I never knew that this was the reason behind this. So when we do this, actually I got to know it later that we whenever we discuss whatever we have learned and when we explain it to somebody else, we actually get to learn it and analyze it more deeply. And it's like a second revision that whatever we have learned we're explaining to a person, so we get a we understand the depths of the subject. Yeah, I explained it, so it's more fixed in my mind. And yeah, it's quite fun to share it with your parents. Even they tell you that this was in my syllabus before, so it's quite interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's really great to know, and I cannot believe I'm talking to a school student. I feel like I'm already talking to, a matured adult who is already like done college or something. So yeah, because your perspectives so much match with what should be done. So I'm like so happy to kind of see that students are already there, which basically something that we are also trying to incorporate in Think Now Classroom, that we should help students learn in the most organic way. So the most organic way is something like you learn by talking to people, you learn by discussing, you learn through expressing your own opinion and then listening to other people's opinion. So learning is not just what you kind of intake through the books. It's not like one way, or you intake through the videos, like you mentioned. It's not one way. Okay, that is just the first part of it where you are taking in the information. But if you do not process it by kind of either thinking about it when you're alone or by discussing about it, you do not kind of retain it. So that's what we are bringing in Think Now Classroom to basically help students learn the most organic way possible, so that your learning is long lasting. So like you mentioned that if you learn something new, you kind of talk to your family about it. So you might have observed that that retains in your mind longer compared to something that you do not like to discuss about, or students who do not discuss at all or at home. So yeah, it definitely makes a difference. Yeah. Okay, so this is a fun question. This is a very fun and light question, and I'm sure this question will bring very different answers. Depending on what age you are at and what kind of person you are. So for you, what makes a classroom feel very fun and welcoming? It could be a tuition, it could be a school class, or anything. So like for me, I realize that it's more fun when the environment is more casual. Like you have comfortable chairs, and you have coffee and snacks. And I mean, this is something that of course not possible at school. But in college it was, and while we were working at our jobs it was. But yeah, this is, I realize for me that this is something that makes learning for me very fun. But yeah, I would love to listen to yours.
Okay, so basically, we cannot have snacks. That's another part. But what we can do is, many a times students, why the reason they don't like to go to classes is they continuously have to listen to the teacher. Like, listen what I'm saying, listen what I'm doing, don't talk and all kind of stuff. So whenever we want to share ideas, we don't basically get a chance to do so. So we have to stay quiet, we have to listen to it, and then we doze off many a times. It happens. So what can be welcoming is, you allow the children to talk. You keep the environment more friendly, the decorum, you maintain it better. And the teacher, instead of teaching, she converses with the students. Like whenever she's teaching a topic, she asks, see how you feel about it. Is it fine? Do you think this idea is good? What will you do if you will be in a situation? Putting children in a situation like if you were this, what would you do? Do you think this is good? Is it interesting to you? And even if it is not interesting, the teachers can be casual about it and say, okay, yeah, I know this is boring, but we still have to learn it because of the syllabus. So what happens is it gets fun, you realize that the teacher is casual, she's understanding us and changing the medium of language basically. Many a times children are not able to, express themselves in English. So Hindi, Marathi, these languages, they need to express themselves. So instead of, banning to say that no, speak in English only. So, they get, refrained from it. So basically they can switch to languages. You can, they can explain in Hindi also, whatever the concept is. They can explain it a bit in Marathi, listen to the opinions, which can enhance the growth now, and it becomes fun when you listen to your friend's opinion and all kind of stuff. You crack jokes in classes. It gets fun. So yeah, that's welcoming.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, Aditi, those are some great observations that you have made, and something that's definitely that definitely brings a big change. And to be honest, the all the things that you mentioned about having the kid to speak, which is basically active learning. I mean, when you know that you have to speak, you have to express your opinion, so you'll also listen more intently, and basically kind of shedding that barrier of language, that okay, it's not just one language, you can express in whatever language you feel. So when we were kids, like when I was studying, we had similar problems. So that's why when we conduct classes for Think Now Classroom, this is the exact same thing that we are doing, that you just mentioned. That, so if there is a class of say 1 hour, I, as the instructor, I speak for a total of probably 5 or 10 minutes. That's all. And most of the other duration of the class, it's the kids who are kind of talking to their friends about their opinions, and then they're compiling their answers and bringing it together. So I mean, having listened to your observation about what makes classroom fun for you, I at least feel, as a founder of Think Now Classroom, I feel that we are on the right track, and it will really help the students. So yeah, that's great. Yeah. Okay, so I think this might have been covered in other answers of yours, but again, I would just reiterate: is there any particular class, either in school or any extracurricular activity, or after school, any classes that you are going to, where you are basically asked to think critically and form your own opinions, like we are doing in in this podcast basically. So are you attending any of those classes? Any, you could share any example that either it's a part of your curriculum in school, or after school.
Mm. Okay, so basically, in such remote areas, this concept is not so much, fashionized that we should let children speak. We should, ask for their opinions. What matters is तुम textbook में जो है वो पढ़ो, exam में लिखो, pass हो जाओ. That's the syllabus. That's the system how it works. Basically, children are not asked to speak. That's what I'm actually saying it again and again, but it happens. And
No,
because
that's
of that,
completely right.
yeah. So what happens is we get bored because we're not able to share our opinions, and we don't even know whether whatever we are thinking is it right or is it wrong. Should we, consult somebody? There are some teachers who are friendly who ask us कि क्या हो गया बताओ, is it fine, is that fine? But basically we are not asked to critically think about it. It's like कि whatever I'm teaching, listen to it, read the textual content and write the exam and come again. So what they can do is in subjects like history, in subjects like physics, they can put the student in a situation like if you were the prime minister of this nation, this is facing this, what would you do for the backward classes? If these are the conditions, how would you imply it? Or basically give them a project in which they are asked to talk about it, about the cons instead of the benefits. Ask them to tell about the disadvantages. So what happens is when you think and analyze about the opposites, you get to know more about the benefits of it. You go to the deep of the root. So it's like we get to analyze the subject more through our own knowledge, through our own analysis, instead of वही textbook का पढ़ के same fill ups भी वही आएंगे, all that kind of stuff. It gets boring. So basically, analyzing, speaking up, critically thinking, giving students a chance, that does not happen basically, and that's what I want to happen. It should happen. It will be quite
Should
more
happen.
good.
Yeah, and is it, I mean, just a follow-up question. So is it something that you feel probably it's missing in your school, or is it something that you feel that, okay, you have friends and, cousins from other schools in Mumbai as well, but you feel even they, do not have this kind of a luxury at school?
Basically, it's not in my school, but even my cousins and all, whenever we talk about schools, it's always about all those bad things. Ki this happened, that happened. I hate this teacher. There's nothing particularly good. That this is the classes which I love the most. Here I can converse. Here I can do this. Here I can do that. Such things are very rare to hear. Kari, your school is nice. Your school does this and does that. It gets very new to us because basically this luxury is not provided in all the classes. There are very few teachers who basically know that we should let the students, give the opportunity that they can also speak. Unko bhi bolna chahiye. But many a times in schools it does not happen. Even my cousins, whenever we talk about it, he's in seventh. So when we talk about it, do you like any subject? So he's like, no, I have to mug up every single thing. How am I going to like anything? I just don't understand anything. And it's like, particularly, it's true. So there's no luxury.
Yeah, I think it also has to do with, the vast syllabus that we have to cover in a year with, so many exams and so many holidays. So I think it's mostly a time constraint that, if there is a class and probably, schools, like some schools might be incorporating now, but if you think at that scale, like so many classes and so many students that if you create a room for kids to speak, I'm guessing they might be thinking that we'll not be able to finish the syllabus, and it will have to be very personalized, that then a lot of kids will speak, and you'll have to kind of acknowledge everybody's opinions and things like it. So that is something that definitely takes more resources, I feel, in terms of time, in terms of teacher. Probably then one teacher cannot handle, say, 50 students ka opinion in one period. So I think a lot of logistical constraints in that, which could be a reason, that it's not so prevalent up till now. I mean, it was definitely not there in any school when I was studying. I do know that something of this sort, not exactly like this, but somewhere, some schools kind of do competitions where you can, do case studies, present your own opinions, but that's a very seasonal kind of a thing, not like part of or integrated into the curriculum in, every day you kind of do it. So yeah, I think your concern or your um, I think worry is definitely well placed, and probably this is something you could have it in college, I feel.
Basically,
Okay,
you know what?
so yeah.
If this is the issue, what the schools can do is basically, I'm adding an opinion, but what they can do is, they can conduct lectures after any chapter or any lesson is over. They can particularly personally conduct a lecture of 30 to 45 minutes where they can, create concepts and ask for voting. They can ask for the votes of children, that how many of you like this subject or don't like this subject. How many of you think that this is the deep root, that is the deep root. They can create a student committee in which they can create groups, and the groups will have leaders, and that one leader will talk about the other student's opinion, and which can go to the teacher. So everything's opinion, har kisi ka opinion will be considered, and everybody will feel connected to the teacher, connected to the school. They'll know that the school is considering whatever we are feeling. By this it will become much more lighter. Students will like it. I guess that's what I think.
That's a good idea actually. That of course, we could include a leader kind of a thing here, which like who can actually take everybody's opinions, compile it, and then can give it to the school admin. So everybody feels that I'm being heard, my opinion is being taken. So yeah, that so basically the when you feel that you are in a position that you can give your opinion and that people are listening to your opinion, that just makes you feel more confident that okay, yeah, even though in I'm a teenager, I like people still value my opinion. So that's a very strong feeling that kind of uh, brings in confidence in people. So yeah, I would again say, Aditi, amazing observation in that sense, that you like pointed out extremely good points in terms of things that are missing, and like it's such a coincidence that we as founders of Think Now Classroom, we found out the exact same uh, you know kind of problems or gaps in education, and that's what you're working at. All right. So it's time for a little brain workout. Just like you mentioned that we could have a session where you are actively giving your opinion. You're thinking about if you are the PM or Prime Minister, what will you do? So let's do our own brain workout. So basically, at Think Now Classroom, we have developed. some 20 learning modules which combine your school concepts with your real life experiences. So in every podcast episode that we do with a kid, we are going to do a different learning module exercise with them at the end of the podcast. So this is basically your chance to think critically and imagine how the world might change under a new scenario. So I'll give you a situation which will be an imaginary situation, uh, which will, like, sometimes it could be futuristic, but today that we are giving you is kind of imaginary. And then we will discuss that if this happens, uh, how will it affect the society, how will it affect economy, science, the scientific effects, and environmental effects. So and the what if scenario that we have here will be taken up using one of the science concepts that you have already studied in school. So today's science topic is photosynthesis, which we all know is pretty basic, that it is something that plants use to produce their food, and they produce oxygen in this whole reaction. So the situation here is, what if the efficiency of photosynthesis that we know today increases by 50%? Okay, so this is your what if scenario. I mean, it sounds pretty imaginary now, but you don't know. Like, you never know. There could be scientific, advancements. So probably 20 years down the line, we could have something like that. So then, I would want you, Aditi, to answer it into in different parts, where you talk about how important photosynthesis is. You talk about its effects on society, environment, economy, and science. So yeah, over to you, Aditi.
Okay, kind of very imaginary topic to see. Basically, if we think about photosynthesis ka importance, so basically we breathe because of oxygen. They take the CO2, they give us the O2. We are living because of it. So yeah, that's an important characteristic which stands out. Why is photosynthesis important? Because we humans live on it. Everybody lives on it. And another point is that it helps in the nitrogen cycling, carbon cycles, and all. So it's pretty important in the environment also. Basically, talking about its impact on society, talking about people, if the photosynthesis increases by 50%, there'll be a lot intake of CO2 in it. So basically, what will happen is the climatic changes would go slow. People would face problems in their timings and all. The seasons will get affected, and human beings will face a lot of problems in their works and all. Rainy seasons change ho jayega, winter seasons. There will be duration in months. Many kind of things will happen. So actually, climate will get affected. So society will get affected. And thinking about economy or about the science will get another topic to discuss on. I mean, if photosynthesis increases by 50%, all the scientists, would rush down. We have to find another solution. We have to control it. Each and every scientist will go down to its ability to try to make new experiments, inventions. नए scientists के नाम आएंगे. There will be a new topic in our syllabus, all kind of stuff. But yeah, science will be impacted a lot. And about economy, if we talk about, basically what will happen is, if the photosynthesis increases by 50%, that will damage the plant cells. So what will happen is their carbon and nitrogen metabolism will be altered to a very high level, which will cause in the damage of energy which we get through the sun via photosynthesis, which we require for our natural gases and petroleum and all kind of stuff. So the economy will be affected if these things are not coming in a proper way, in a proper resource. So yeah, basically it will affect the economy in that way, maybe.
Yeah, that's see, it's all maybes, or everything here that we discuss is maybe, because it's a what if scenario. But yeah, that's an interesting take, and I think this the science part that you mentioned is of course very very true. That if that happens, I think for me the most thought provoking question here would be, so now we talk about the percentage of CO2 being in atmosphere, changing by, say, at least, say if it changes by 2%, that's such a big worry for everybody around the world. But what if you have a atmospheric composition where you have more of oxygen and less of carbon dioxide that you see now? I mean, significantly more and significantly less of CO2. How will humans and all the species adapt to such an environment? I mean, everybody is dependent on the atmosphere. most of the other planets are not habitable because they do not have the atmosphere. So for me, that would be the most thought-provoking question here. And yeah, of course, societies would definitely change. I mean, I think the whole landscape would change, because the now that you consider agriculture, like agriculture depends on photosynthesis. So now consider a rural area in India where there's a family working on a farm. Now if your photosynthesis efficiency has increased, you probably need less resources. I mean, you need less water, you need less fertilizer, so there'll be a lot of cost savings. Probably you need less people on the field to work on it. So a lot of kids who kind of support their family in rural areas in agriculture might get free up, to do things like education. A lot of kids don't go to school or drop out early because they have to help in agriculture and stuff. So this is another thing that that is very thought provoking for me, that how would uh, this particular what if scenario have an impact in a country like India, where you have a big chunk of population dependent on agriculture as their primary source of income. So yeah, it's a very interesting kind of what if scenario. And so for you, I mean, to kind of enhance your learning and knowledge, what I just wanted to tell you that we are taking each of these learning modules, and we are choosing some 6 science topics from each class, and then we are developing 10 minutes of bite sized lessons where I am speaking about a particular what if scenario, what is its effect on society, environment in detail in that 10-minute video. So I have prepared one video for photosynthesis also. It will come out in January, I'm guessing January. So you'll be surprised to hear more perspectives. I mean, you'll find out that there are like so many things that will change because of it, and so many big changes basically. So yeah, I would love to have your opinion on that once you see that. uh, Awesome. So these answers were incredible, like both your opinion and what you mentioned about the what if scenarios. Maybe one day, since you mentioned science is your favorite kind of subject, so maybe one day you will kind of grow up to work on photosynthesis as a process and make bring out a breakthrough discovery. Who knows? It's the curiosity basically, Aditi. It's the curiosity that helps in everything. So yeah, I definitely see that in you. And you have, so every scientist requires a very strong observational skills, because I have worked in research for 6 years, so I can definitely see that observation skills in you. So yeah, long way to go. Okay. So, yeah, before we wrap up, I want to thank you for sharing your thoughts and ideas. And like I said, you've just shown through your opinions that, how powerful critical thinking can be, not just basically for solving problems, but for also kind of fueling your mind, feeding your mind, making it, run better. So, yeah. And remember, learning isn't just about what's in your books or on a test. It's about, like you said, asking questions, thinking creatively, and forming your own opinions. To everyone else listening to us, I hope today's conversation inspires you to look at learning differently. Keep thinking, keep questioning, and remember, your opinions are, as important as the facts that you learn. So, all the students and parents watching, if you want your kid to be part of this podcast series, reach out to us on our website, and we love to feature your kid in our next series. So yeah, this is Priya Kende and signing off from Classroom to Boardroom. See you next time. Thank you.